welcome back to the When I Heard This podcast. My name is Nate Robinsoff, and I'm here with Pastor Joseph Tillman, MDiv, soon to be Demon. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing fantastic.
Cool.
I'm actually doing really well.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Good.
Losing some weight.
Yeah.
Doing some exercise.
We said we'd do it.
We said we'd do it.
I lost a little bit of weight also.
Okay, fantastic.
Yeah.
Yep. So we're hitting 2024 on a good road right now.
Mm-hmm.
We're hitting it
Right.
nice. So
at least we're doing well.
that's true. Can't say about the rest of the world,
No.
but right here,
Yeah,
it's going well.
yes.
Yeah.
Good. Go to Patreon, $5. Like, emphasis on the subscribe, comment, follow, share, download.
Mm-hmm.
Facebook and Instagram, When I Heard This podcast, X and locals, When I Heard This. Joseph, today we are talking about demons.
Demons.
And how they're just everywhere.
According to some
Just
people, they are.
Under everything.
Under every rock,
Yeah.
behind every bush.
Yes.
I once heard that, it's not true that there's a demon behind every bush. There's at least 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah. So we'll explore if that's actually true or not.
Cool. All right. So I'm going to ask you some demon questions,
Okay.
and then we're going to talk about how they're
Everywhere.
or nowhere.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good deal.
Because, yes. All right. So what are demons?
All right. So first of all, to be clear, when you look at scripture, there's not like a scripture that just says demons are fill in the blank.
Okay.
It's not there. So the best guess is that they're fallen angels. And that's kind of historically been understood to be the case.
Wait, we don't know that for sure?
No.
Oh.
Yeah. It doesn't ever say in scripture these, evil spirits or these demons are fallen angels.
Okay.
Yeah. So that has just been derived throughout just kind of history, both in Judaism and in Christianity of, okay.
But there were fallen angels.
Correct. We do know that.
And then demons showed up.
Right. So
but there's nothing connecting the two things.
Well, so here's the basic understanding. If Satan, right?
Yeah.
If he is the one who fell from heaven,
right?
Okay, and took a third of the angels with him,
okay,
then it makes logical sense that therefore these demons that Satan now has, whom he could not have created, because he doesn't have the power to create,
right,
were or are these fallen angels.
Okay,
yeah. So there's a logical connection there.
But there's nothing specific.
But nothing specific in scripture that just says demons are blank.
So demons are outnumbered 2-1.
Correct.
Well, what are they doing?
Just causing havoc, mischief.
Yeah, but how do they think they're going to win?
Because they're prideful.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, they're dumb.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. They're kind of there's some intelligence there.
I mean, not in this area.
Okay, you're right.
Okay. Is that all?
Yeah. So and I do want to say that there's a different group between those that are the third of the angels that fell with Satan is different than the group of those spoken of in Genesis 6.
The Nephilim?
Or the quote unquote kind of parents of the Nephilim.
Oh.
So in other words, you have angels having relations with women becoming impregnated, having children. Those children are the Nephilim.
And they're all dead.
The Nephilim?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
As far as we know. But that's a whole different topic of logically, they should have all been destroyed in the flood.
Because they were, okay.
Right? If only Noah and his family survives the flood, then every Every other thing should have been destroyed, including the Nephilim. However, when the Israelites are looking to go into the promised land,
there's giants.
Into Canaan, there's giants. They come back and report that there's Nephilim there. And so the question is that are they really Nephilim or are they just
NBA
giants,
players?
Just large, right.
Okay.
Right. Did they run into some very unexpected NBA players while they were there in Canaan? So, yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah. That's all it really talks about as far as the Nephilim
So
are
those
concerned.
aren't demons.
But those are different. Yeah. So, and we'll touch on those guys later.
Is that where Hercules came from?
No, Hercules is just a myth. Yeah.
Okay. I don't. That's like the part of the Bible where I'm like, this might be bullshit. Right?
Like the Nephilim part?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Nephilim's a little strange.
I'm like, what? Okay. Maybe they should have left that chapter out.
Should have just edited out the first part of Genesis 6.
Yeah.
Just taking that part out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they did.
Why did never mind.
Yeah.
Well,
okay. So let me hit on one more thing about demons.
Okay.
Okay. So, all right. Demons, we do know demons are real though.
Okay.
Okay. Because Jesus says that there are demons.
Okay.
All right. So if Jesus is talking about demons or unclean spirits, then they must exist.
Okay.
They must be real. All right. And then finally, the demons have a will, they have emotions, they have intellect, they have self-awareness, and they have the ability to speak.
Okay.
We find that all in the gospel.
To each other or to us?
Both.
Okay.
Both. And so for example, like probably the most famous story of Jesus dealing with demons is Jesus casting out demons from an individual, and a legion of demons comes out of him. And Jesus is
We are many.
What's that? Yeah, we are many.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Jesus is actually conversing with that demon.
Okay.
Yeah. So we know they have will, we know they have emotion, they have intellect.
Was it a good conversation?
I mean, it didn't end well for the demons. They ended up in pigs.
So?
Well, they weren't the person anymore. And they were freaking out a little bit because they thought Jesus was going to, I guess, destroy them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I guess it didn't end as badly as it could have, put it that way.
All right.
Because Jesus thought, they thought Jesus was going to destroy him, and he didn't. So, and one example of evidence of emotion for them is in James 2:19, it says, "You believe there is one God. You do well. Even the demons believe and tremble." And so the whole point just being is, okay, you, like James here, is writing and saying, you believe that there's a God or one God, that's good. The demons believe that also, because they know that to be true.
Okay, so can demons die or get redeemed and go back to heaven if they don't want to be evil no more?
Okay.
And are there the same amount of demons as there was when they left heaven?
All right. So in in Jude verse 6, because in Jude there's no chapters, it's just one chapter. So Jude verse 6, "The angels who did not keep their own position, but abandoned their proper dwelling, he has kept in eternal chains in deep darkness for the judgment on the great day. Likewise, Sodom and Gomorrah and the surrounding towns committed sexual immorality and perversions and serve as an example by undergoing the punishment of eternal fire." And so here's what I'm getting to is do demons die? They will eventually.
Okay.
So eventually they will be thrown into an eternal fire.
Okay.
So when we read in Revelations, when it speaks about a lake of fire, this idea of judgment, they too will go through a final judgment. And they will be destroyed in this lake of fire.
So all of the ones that existed whenever they fell still exist.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
And if we pray to God to kill one that is in our basement, he's not going to do it.
Right. So
he can just go away.
Right. The demons will leave.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
Yeah. Like we cast out demons. We don't
kill
them.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's the answer to that question of can they die?
Okay.
But the next question you get to about can they be restored? Can they come back to God? Can they decide, hey, the demon life is not the life I thought it was going to be? Right. You know, can I come back?
Prodigal demon.
Right. The prodigal demon. And it seems as if in Scripture that no, there's no redemption for them.
Well, that sucks.
Yeah, it does. They made their choice. They made their decision.
How are they allowed to choose that?
Well, and that's interesting because they're not created in the same way that you and I are created. Like, in other words, like we are image bearers.
Right.
Like God created us and with the image of God. Okay. And they predate us. Right. So they're in existence before we come into, I'll say we, humanity, before humanity comes into existence, they're in existence. Okay. The demons at some point, obviously they have the free will, even though they're not made in the image of God. They have the free will though, to make that choice.
Okay.
And so they obviously made that choice. So when Satan was like, you know what? I'm tired of being bossed around. I'm tired of not being the guy. Let's revolt. And it didn't end well for them. Then I guess that was, and in terms of the Lord's mind, it seems, at least through Scripture, that was their final decision. That was their final choice.
So the demons don't like being demons, but since they have to be and can't be anything else, they inhabit dolls and teleport around my living room.
Well, I don't know about inhabiting dolls and teleporting around your living room. We'll get to kind of how they function in a little bit. But I do think it's fair to say, though, that when they look at humanity, because, like, in other words, like, why are they doing what they're doing? Right? Like, why screw up life, if you want to put it that way,
right,
for people? Like, why would that be the thing they would want to spend their seemingly eternity doing?
Because they're pissed off that we can be redeemed?
And that's one of the theories.
Okay.
Is that, yeah, they're basically, like, whether you want to call it jealous, upset, whatever, that we can be redeemed. Or, number two, they're gone, right? They've been thrown out. Okay. With no ability to come back. Therefore, they want to take as many people with them as they can.
Oh,
and so I think, in other words, behind
misery loves company.
Correct.
Okay.
So I think a lot of that reasoning of demons, of why they're doing what they're doing, is because of their own anger, their own jealousy, their own misery.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they're just pissed.
I think that's probably fair to say.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, if you're going to torment people for just millenniums, you're probably pissed if that's what you choose to do.
So what types of stuff do they do?
Okay. Like what kind of power do they have, or abilities?
Yes. What kind of power do they have? Are there ranks? Are there military ranks? Do they demon over different countries?
Right.
Like, do they have specialties?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, all right, we'll get to the ranks in a minute.
Okay.
Okay. And so when we talk about demons and what they do, one of the first
besides twisting heads around and
right.
Yeah.
Besides what we've seen in The Exorcist.
Throwing up on people.
Yeah. So I think that what we find when we begin going through Scripture, okay, first of all, the conversation so often goes, well, are they oppressing people? Are they possessing people? And I find to try to make those distinctions is just not healthy, or not needed. Maybe that's a better word than healthy.
None of that stuff sounds healthy.
Yeah, but like, so in other words, I don't need to figure out if someone is oppressed by a demon or possessed by a demon. the Greek word there just means to be demonized. Okay.
Oh.
All right. So
Okay.
like, in other words, if I don't need to have to get into the idea of like ownership or possession, but rather I think it's talking about like their ability to influence people.
Okay.
Okay. And so
whether they're inside you or not inside you,
correct,
or making you do the things.
Correct.
Or...
But they're influencing you one way or the other.
Okay.
Right. Whether, right, just as you said, whether they're actually in you or whether they're, because the things that they do that you're talking about here is often like one of the kind of larger word we'll use is torment. Like
okay.
they're tormenting spirits. And so in other words, they torment people like mentally, emotionally, physically. Mm-hmm. They entice or harass, compel. And then there is the idea of, they're being there, and when we talk about the being in someone, mm-hmm. there's a great deal of influence, obviously, that they have in that person's life. And I'm not going to say they're necessarily enslaved to the demons, although we are told that we can be enslaved to sin. But the idea of the fact that they are heavily influenced by a demonic power within them. Demons deceive and demons attack the physical body. So those are the things that we see demons doing.
Okay.
Yeah. As far as the rank is concerned,
mm-hmm.
and are there these different ranks? So Ephesians chapter 6 is often a passage that is used to talk about demons and to talk about rank, mm-hmm. and if they actually have rank. And so in Ephesians chapter 6, verse 12, for our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the cosmic powers of this darkness, against evil spiritual forces in the heavens. And what some people will do is take that and say, okay, well, there's this overarching hierarchy within the demonic. Okay. And they'll take each of those phrases, those statements, and kind of break them down, mm-hmm. and kind of start it from this idea of, all right, well, the principalities, as it's often translated in many translations, there's these principalities. All right, these are like the big guys. Like they're the ones that are overseeing the demonic activity over like a nation. And that's derived from a chapter in Daniel where the Archangel Michael comes to Daniel and tells Daniel that he would have been there sooner to Daniel. However, he was held up by this seemingly what it seems to mean is a principality or a force that was over the land of Persia.
Okay.
And so the fact that there is like demonic influence over nations I think that's probably a true statement in the sense of you can look over nations and see just areas of wickedness that just seem to exist. And it does seem to change from country to country. And some people will say, well, that's just cultures or those mm-hmm. kind of things. And I get that. But I do think there's probably this larger sense of the spiritual realm that's behind that. Because I think that's one of the things that we as Christians even do not just talk about often enough is the fact of there really is a spiritual realm.
Right.
And so often we kind of lock into what is the temporal things we're seeing. But like Paul says here in Ephesians 6, our struggle's not with flesh and blood. There is these powers, these principalities, these rulers, and these, spiritual forces in these heavenly places that are influencing what's going on in the temporal world we're seeing.
So we have American demons. Demons of the United States of America.
I would call, if you want to put it that way.
Okay.
And
those are our demons.
that we're dealing with specifically. And and I do think you'll find that from country to country where there seems to be these larger places of wickedness that are found in different countries.
Okay.
And I do think we have to be honest that there is more than likely a demonic reason behind that. And so if you want to start labeling, well, there's these demons over nations or over regions, as crazy as it may sound, it would not surprise me, I guess.
Well, we shouldn't let any of the other regions' demons into our country.
Interesting. Yeah. Yep.
We have our demons, and there's no more room.
We're maxed out.
They're tired of dealing with you.
Okay. So I'm just going to keep moving and not get into where you're wanting to take this possibly. All right. And so I think that, we see those things. One of the things that, because I talked about kind of the idea of like harassing and that kind of thing that demons do, is that in the what I'm getting, so if you have like the ranks, right, they're like the large like over a region, over area, those kind of things. It does seem that there's demonic influences that are specific to individuals. Okay. And C.S. Lewis, in his book Screwtape Letters, talks about this. And C.S. Lewis,
I'm supposed to read that or something.
Yeah.
I've never read it.
It'd be good for you to read.
Okay.
Yeah. A lot of people know C.S. Lewis from like the fantasy books or children's books, Chronicles of Narnia.
Yeah.
But he also was a brilliant scholar.
Okay.
And wrote other books outside of, like, his book on like Mere Christianity, for example, is like one of the staple books for individuals that come to know Christ read. It's just historically, over the last, less than 100 years, but since Mere Christianity came out in the 1900s, it's just been one of those kind of staple books that people have read. But he wrote another book called Screwtape Letters. And it's an individual. Well, it's this interaction between two demons. Okay. And I'm getting to the rank kind of thing here. In the Screwtape Letters, there is one demon that is kind of overseeing all these other demons in their assignments.
Okay.
And it's one demon writing to his boss, if you were, about what's happening, how things are going with the individual that he's been assigned to.
Oh, an individual.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I do think that and the way that the demon is portrayed in Screwtape Letters is not the demon's not doing these horrible things like afflicting them with these illnesses or causing them to come into these huge, massive sins or those kind of things. But rather, the demon is basically distracting the individual, trying to cause the individual to become a nominal Christian.
I'm not touching you.
Yeah, in the sense of like, well, even if I can't get him to like leave Christ, I just want him to be ineffective as a Christian in this world.
All right.
I don't want him to lead others to Christ. I don't want him to influence others toward Christ. So let's get him distracted.
Not good enough.
Things.
Make him jump off a bridge.
Right. Get him dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, and I guess the final thing that I guess all of the demons ultimately are doing is leading individuals astray.
From God.
Okay. Yeah, and from the truth. And so that's ultimately what they're doing, is leading people astray.
Not my experience.
Okay.
But apparently there are groups of Christians that don't believe demons exist.
Correct.
So why the hell not?
Yeah. So within some Christian circles, they believe the idea of demons or unclean spirits is like an old archaic way of thinking that had to do more with superstition and ignorance than it did with the fact that there was actually demons.
But Jesus talked to one.
Correct. Yeah, I know. I understand.
So what are they? What?
I know, but a lot of these same individuals don't believe the Bible is completely inerrant either.
Okay.
And so they're taking kind of bits and pieces from Scripture.
Sounds like a demon told them that.
Yes.
Oh, that's not even funny.
No, I think it's actually real.
Okay.
I think it's part of when Paul talks about the doctrine of demons in 1 Timothy 4, verse 1. I think this is what he's talking. I think that's part of what he's talking about. Like this idea of the doctrine of demons, of the idea that, hey, we can, let's just discard parts of the truth.
Okay.
And so, but yeah, but these groups within Christianity, and you do find them in a lot of progressive Christians or progressive Christianity or a lot of mainline Protestant churches.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying all of them. I don't want to make this huge blanket statement, but what you find is either one, they don't believe in demons, or they just don't take it seriously enough.
Okay.
Like they don't believe in them because they feel like, well, 2,000 years ago, they didn't understand mental health, or 2,000 years ago, medicine wasn't advanced enough to understand some medical conditions and issues.
Oh.
Things like seizures and epilepsy and that kind of thing.
So anything that we don't understand that doesn't look like fun must be demons.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's what you're saying.
Like, no, but that's what they.
Well, if you don't believe in demons,
right?
Yeah. So what they're saying is basically, hey, if you don't believe in a demon, or we don't believe in demons, we just believe that was just, again, superstition.
So if our kid comes out kind of mentally challenged, or spectrumed,
okay,
then that's demons.
No, they would say
that's what they thought, or that's what these people think they were saying back then.
2,000 years ago.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm following you now. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, and where now we understand.
So cast this demon out. He's drooling too much.
Right, because we're more enlightened now is the idea.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we know more. And so, but I think you bring up a great point. Was Jesus just insane then? Because if Jesus is talking to a demon, but the demon's not really there.
Oh.
Then maybe Jesus is insane.
Talking to a guy.
Talking to it. Yeah. Just talking to a guy. And so, but of course they would say, well, Jesus didn't actually do that. That was just written in by his followers or by people in that era that were caught up into these superstitions.
Oh.
So, yeah. And it kind of created some stories and elaborated probably more than they should have. However, the problem with that is, like, throughout Jesus' ministry, he's casting out demons. And throughout his ministry, he's telling people that he has come to cast out demons. And he even tells his disciples he's gathering them to himself in Mark 3 for the purpose of them being with him, and then for them to actually go out and cast out demons.
Oh.
So
he says it enough times.
Jesus is perpetuating this repeatedly throughout the Gospels. And so I think that, so there's some churches that just don't believe there's demons. And I can say that because I was in a theology school where, I would probably say 90% of the students did not believe in demons.
Okay. But you believe in demons?
I believe in demons.
Because it says it in the Bible.
Because it says it in the Bible.
Okay.
And I've experienced demons and demonic influence and deliverance sessions. Been in all that stuff.
On Twitter.
On Twitter. There is probably some demonic activity actually on Twitter. So, and then I think there's another group that believe that demons exist. Like they would acknowledge they exist, but they don't give them really any attention.
Okay.
Like they think whatever. They're probably real, but they're really not doing much of anything.
Okay, well, like I said, not believing in demons is not the experience I had.
Right.
So here's the experience I had.
All right, tell me about your experience, Nate.
I'm excited.
Oh, Lord.
All right. So this
Uh-huh.
is a list that me and my friends came up with of all the things that got demons in it.
All right.
Per churches that we grew up in. Okay.
Okay.
Records played backwards. That's the old one.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Everybody knows about that
right.
one. If you play the record backwards, demons come out.
Yep.
And which begs the question, if you play it forwards, do angels come out? But whatever. Anyone with an addiction or mental health issue,
right,
like we were just talking about,
right.
all have demons in them.
Demons.
Pokemon has demons in it.
Yep.
Harry Potter. Power Rangers.
Right.
Star Wars, but there's a catch.
Okay.
Only if the movie is bad does it have demons in it. That's how the Christians go about this one. In my experience, as the Rotten Tomatoes score goes down, the amount of demons in it goes up. Houses that are sort of run down all have demons in them. That's why they're run down. Basically anything Asian. That's all demons.
Okay.
Halloween. That's...
Yeah, of course that's demons.
Yes.
We know that.
Any music with any instruments except an organ or a harp.
Right.
Money.
Money
because the Illuminati is on it something.
Okay. Yeah, so that's demons, yeah.
This is a long list. All video games. Anything with magic.
Right.
Every hotel room. The vaccine.
Right.
Horror movies, which I watch those all the time. Demons in horror movies? Yeah. Doesn't make any sense. That was a joke. Tattoos. This is a big one. Democrats. All of them. Loaded with demons. Yoga.
Right.
Anything that you hold while praying and you feel like connects you to God.
Okay.
That's obviously demons.
Even a cross?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, God. Okay.
Anime, all of it, across the board. Or just any cartoon that looks a little weird.
Okay.
Right?
Right.
Science books, homos,
okay.
all of them have demons in them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Yeah.
Got it.
And that's how they spread. The homo in the back gives it to the homo in the front, and then he,
right.
That's how you spread the gay demons. Any movie with Jesus in it that is not directed by a Catholic. Dubstep.
Okay.
Scooby-Doo, which this one never made any sense to me.
Right.
Because at the end of every episode, it wasn't whatever they showed the whole time.
Right.
It was all smoke and mirrors.
Right.
That was the whole point, was no, this is not demons.
Yeah.
So there can't be anything coming out of there.
Those Scooby snacks, though.
Weed. Every Bible except the King James Version has demons in it. Ouija boards. Rap.
Right.
Or by proxy, just anything black people like because Christians are racist. Playing cards. Porn.
Right.
Social media. Dungeons and Dragons / Magic the Gathering.
Okay.
If you're
familiar with magic. Yep.
Yeah. Antique stores.
Okay.
Don't buy anything in an antique store.
A demon.
Might have demons in it.
Right.
Don't even go in there.
Okay.
Every church except yours. Demons. Anything black.
Right.
Clothing. Earrings.
Right.
Hair. Loaded with demons.
Okay.
AI.
Mm-hmm.
Anything with the word fuck in it. And by proxy, this podcast. Because that's how that works. Energy drinks. Have you ever heard this one?
I've never heard about energy drinks and demons.
You haven't heard? I'll show you the video later, but a lady is a whole thing. She turns the monster can upside down, and apparently the 3 scratches on it read, "There's demons in this," or something.
Oh, okay.
Chinese restaurants, because they have Buddhas and weird fountains in them.
Right.
And those are demonic. Credit cards. And Lord of the Rings, has demons in it until the Christian finds out that Tolkien was Catholic.
Right.
Yeah. And then they're like, oh, well, I want to watch it then. That's how that works. Basically, this is to sum it up. If everyone else at school likes it, there's demons in it.
Okay.
That's my experience.
That was your experience.
Yep. Anyway, respond.
All right. Well, obviously, I'm not going to respond to every single line item. Holy cow. Oh, wow.
What's the deal?
Yeah.
Why does everything that anybody does have demons in it?
Yeah. So, all right. So, I think you're getting to.
Also, shout out to Holly and Rachel and Alex and Courtney for helping me with this list.
Okay. Well done.
Mm-hmm.
No. So. All right, so going to the opposite end of the spectrum, from the ones who don't believe there's any demons to those that believe there's demons everywhere and in everything. No, I've been in circles that thought the same way, and they would have lists as long as this table, just covered with things that you had to renounce. Because you possibly got a demon from it, right? And so I would say that some of those things that you mentioned, legitimate. Okay. Some of those things, not legitimate.
Right.
At all. And
this is where we're going.
Yeah. And so I think that there is a camp in the charismatic Pentecostal world that really is, I would say, almost like fascinated / like obsessed with demons. And so, and I think, and sometimes they're actually giving demons more credit than they should. And I understand like the pendulum swing of going, there's no demons, then all of a sudden kind of waking up and going, wait a minute, there may be demons.
Right.
And then swinging that pendulum so far to the other side where it's just like, well, now demons are in everything and everywhere. And I think then it becomes a matter of discerning, okay, but where are demons for real? Like, are they in everything that you just listed? I've
been told they are.
And you've been told they are, right? And
yeah,
I understand. And so, and I think that's where we have to start discerning of like, all right, well then how then do we begin to discern what actually, like, where would demons actually be and where would they not be?
Right. What is going on? Because this is my experience. What is going on with all of these Christians that are obsessed with demons being in everything, who create these giant long lists,
right,
and send them home to my parents from Christian school and say, don't let your kids do any of this stuff.
Right.
What's the deal?
Like, why are they doing that?
Yeah. What?
I think they become overly like obsessed with supernatural. And so they're, in other words, individuals, and again, this is why it's so true within charismatic Pentecostal circles is, and again, I'm a charismatic, right? So I go around teaching deliverance seminars. Like, I believe
what's that
in demons. Oh, like deliverance seminar.
Yeah.
Like understanding demons. So like, kind of like think of it as like a demonology 101 type kind of course.
Okay.
Where you, 1, understand them, 2, understand how they may influence your life, and then 3, then actually giving time to cast demons out or to renounce their power / influence in one's life.
So you're an exorcist?
Yes.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Do people ever bring toy merry-go-rounds and
never seen that happen before?
Stuff and say, hey, there's a demon in here. Can you get rid of it?
Nope.
Oh.
which I'm kind of thankful for.
All
So
right.
I haven't had people bring me objects and say, cast a demon out of it.
They always just bring themselves.
They just bring themselves. Like, so again, I'm like, I believe in demons. I believe they exist. I believe they to be taken seriously. But I can even remember like being kind of thrown into this at a young age and learning this and seeing demons come out of people and all that kind of stuff. And you're like, it's whoa, like that's different. Okay. And it catches your attention. It makes like, and you feel like you're experiencing or witnessing the power of God.
Okay.
When people are set free or when you've been set free. And so therefore I think it kind of entices you in to want to understand that power of God. But then I think it can kind of become an obsession where that's all I'm chasing. All I'm chasing is further understandings of the supernatural power of God, of how to cast demons out, and that kind of becomes the world I'm living in. So therefore, then I start reading all these different books, which are really good books, but if I start reading all of them and just taking everything, and I kind of almost become paranoid with everything that's out there, right? So you got your kind of your classic books,
right,
of, you know, Pigs in the Parlor, by the Hammonds. You've got, you know, They Shall Expel Demons by Derek Prince. And then those are kind of like the two classics that really kind of brought the idea of deliverance and an awareness of demonology into the kind of like the mainstream thought process, especially of the charismatics.
Okay.
Because they were in charismatic backgrounds.
So they took this too far.
I don't know if they took it too far or if they're the people that, I don't know if they necessarily took it too far as much as the people that began reading their materials took it too far.
Oh, that's what I meant.
Yeah. And so, because I do think that there is, again, like I'm thankful for those resources because they give, like they open your eyes up to things. And then you've got some more kind of modern current day individuals, like Neil Anderson, you know, in his book, The Bondage Breaker. And so there's all of these individuals, Francis McNutt. So there's these modern day individuals that have continued to bring an understanding of the demonic and demonology and deliverance methods. I was trained by someone named Rick Bonfilm in a method of deliverance. And so again, it's easy to get caught up in it. It's exciting. It's powerful. It's amazing. But then I do think it can get carried overboard when, again, that becomes kind of the whole world you're living in, and you're trying to find out where all of these demons possibly could be so you can cast them out, get rid of them, see the power of God, you know, evidenced. And so I just think that there's a way to go about dealing with this whole subject matter while taking it really serious and true. And, you know, and I even did a deliverance session with someone just a few weeks ago. So like, this is stuff that I do on a regular basis, but I don't have to go into like crazy overboard world. And I do think that's kind of where, unfortunately, some have become so enticed with the supernatural, it's just different, you know, this seems more spiritual than just like your normal kind of quote unquote like spiritual disciplines or spiritual practices. This one seems to be like exciting and again more spiritual. So I think that's kind of where people fall into it.
Obviously, I've been told that billions of things have demons in them. So I'm assuming some of the things that I read out to you earlier might have demons in them. Like, pretty sure Ouija boards do.
Okay. So, like, for example, using that one, like, why would you say that?
Because every horror movie starts with one of them.
So it's got to be that. All right, but go on, take that farther. Like, but what are you doing with a Ouija board?
You are talking to something.
Okay.
Yeah.
There we go. That's kind of where you're getting to. It's like, all right, so what makes that, for example, different than watching Star Wars?
Nothing.
They're both just demonic. Yeah.
There's a demon mask in episode 4. So
it's got to be the case.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So
and he talks.
All right. So I think when you get these lists, like the one you just read out loud and talked about all these different things, and the vaccine's got the demons in it, and
I mean, obviously, have you seen that thing? This is why. Okay, yeah, this is why I'm asking the question, because what?
Right.
How do I know? You're answering, correct?
Yeah, I'll answer.
Okay.
Okay. So, Satan's kingdom is a kingdom of darkness.
Okay.
Okay. So, thus, where there's darkness, that gives the power, okay, for demons to dwell.
Okay, this is vague so far.
I know. So, but demons are found in darkness.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. They're found in sin.
Okay.
Okay. They're found in evil.
Okay.
Okay. And
so is talking to demons a sin?
Okay. If you're engaging with demons, like talking to them like they're your buddies, or you're wanting to inquire something of them, but not like, and so for example, Jesus talking to the demons that are in, and they say, I am Legion, right? So let's say he's talking to Legion and he's talking to demons. That's obviously not a sin to talk to them.
Okay.
But
so Ouija boards are fine.
No, but hold on. Follow me with this. But Jesus understands that demons are in darkness. Okay? Jesus understands that there's no moral ambiguity with Jesus. Like demons, wrong.
Okay.
Demons, you phrase it as evil, like in the sense of lack. When I use that word, like the lack of the presence of God there, then, or absence of the presence of God. So when he's talking to him, he knows he is about to remove them from this individual.
Okay.
Because he knows they're tormenting, that they are the reason behind this individual's physical and mental problems. So he's going to cast them out.
Okay.
Yeah. And the same thing happens when he encounters a boy that has that cannot speak and he cannot hear. And Jesus cast out a demon, and he calls it a spirit, in the way the language is laid out in the scriptures, a deaf and dumb spirit. And he cast that spirit out. Okay. So again, Jesus is engaging with demons, but to get rid of them, to remove them. Okay.
So if I use a Ouija board,
okay,
and summon a demon,
okay,
and then cast him out, am I tying that demon up from messing with somebody else?
Okay.
Like maybe the Christians should get
we all go buy Ouija boards,
rooms of people to tie up all the demons so they can't mess with other people.
Yeah, but see, the thing is with demons, right?
Right.
You can but here's the thing with demons.
It's like calling a company and tying up all their phone lines.
Right.
Right? No one else can call. Your wait time to be tormented by a demon is 20 minutes. Would you like us to call you back?
So you just say everyone needs to get a Ouija board. Yeah. Everyone to start talking to the demons just to occupy them.
Just to occupy them so they're not messing other things up.
That sounds like a terrible idea.
Yeah.
All right.
So
because the problem with the way that people are using Ouija boards on a normal basis for them, not hanging out with a demon to occupy their time, is because they're wanting, there's a intentional connection of wanting to or intentionality of wanting to connect with evil, wanting to connect with something that is beyond ourselves.
Okay.
That's fine if you're wanting to connect with God, obviously, who's other than.
Mm-hmm.
It's a whole other thing when you're talking about demons.
So is there a Ouija board for God?
No.
Or is that the Bible?
No, but that's not the way God works.
Okay.
You know, I mean, you just talk to him. You don't have to conjure him up.
All right. Anyway, so on the whole long list, Ouija boards, but how do I know about any of the rest of it?
And again, I think that's what goes back to like the idea of like darkness. So like using the example of Star Wars, for example, you know, using that.
Mm-hmm.
So here's Star Wars. And I think sometimes in these circles, sci-fi and fantasy have been lumped together in like, or lumped with the demonic. Like if it's sci-fi, if it's fantasy, has to be demonic is the thought process. And I think that's just a stupid thought process because God gave us imaginations.
Okay.
He gave us the ability to imagine, to use our, you know, ability to tell stories to convey a point.
Okay.
And so I think that, for example, in Star Wars, no one should be sitting there going, Star Wars is a Christian movie. Okay?
Okay.
Because I don't think anyone's saying, I mean, no one should be saying it's a Christian movie. However, I can look at something like Star Wars and say, but is it making a distinction between right and wrong, light and darkness?
Okay.
And what side, and if so, what side is being glorified? And so Star Wars is telling a story where there's literal light side and dark side, and I think it's telling a story of light is good, darkness is bad. That's not an inherently wrong story. Okay.
Okay.
And I think you find the same things in stories like that Tolkien wrote. You mentioned Lord of the Rings, you know, that Tolkien wrote, highly fantasy, but yet one of my kids is reading the Second Tower right now, or the Two Towers, the Two Towers right now. And so like, I don't think there's a demon in the book my kid's reading that's in our house. It's just it's a story. And it's the same thing. It's like a story of good and bad. So I think if you go down that list, it's like, all right, is there darkness here? Or is there not? And that's
too vague.
That's one way to begin going down that list.
It's too vague.
Okay. What more specific do you want?
Because if I said, is there darkness here? I could just like point to the space part of the Star Wars poster and be like, look, this is all black. That's pretty dark.
All right. So let me rephrase that.
Because that's what...
Right. But I think, okay, so let's
fast forward through all the Death Star parts.
Right. So I guess let's get to the idea of evil then.
Okay.
Quote unquote evil, right? Or quote unquote like deception. Because I think one of the ways that demons end up influencing us is when we're living in like unrepentant sin.
Okay.
And darkness is there. Then we're opening up doors. And I think there can be demonic influence there that's pushing it, right? And so I'm not saying the demons started the whole thing, but I'm saying the demons are encouraging the whole thing. Or not encouraging the whole thing, continuing to encourage you to stay or remain in that.
Okay.
Yeah, because you've just opened up that door. And so, you know, Jesus talks about the fact that, you know, Satan has nothing in him because Jesus never committed a sin, never done anything wrong, never had an evil thought. And so Jesus is perfect in that sense. So there was no open door for the enemy to come in and to begin influencing his life. Because I think what we have to really be like, where do demons lie? Demons lie when when we open ourselves up to things. You know, is it in that particular item? Probably not.
Okay.
Though it could be. I mean, if it's like something that's being worshipped, right? So like you mentioned everything Asian, right? And I think where people derive that from is the idea of the gods of Hinduism or the god of, you know, of Buddhism, right?
Okay.
Or Buddha, you know, even just that statue itself. And so I think that there's that sense of, all right, well, if it's those things, and I don't disagree in the sense of if there are things that are idols that are being used for worship, demons there. Like I wouldn't have those idols in my house.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because there's demons in them.
Because there could be demons in them.
Okay, so just list off some stuff that I might have seen or were on the list that you are for sure got the demons.
Okay. All right. We've already gone through Ouija board.
Okay.
All right.
So don't touch them.
Don't
play that.
Don't do that.
Okay.
No.
I mean, I already wasn't because.
Right. That's good.
That's how all of them start.
Okay, that's good. Yeah. And like mentioned, like we just said a second ago, like the idea of idols.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't be messing around with idols.
You want the list?
Yeah, give me the list.
All right.
Give me the list. Let me see this thing. Let me go through it.
All right.
Because you kind of overwhelmed me with with the sheer number of things. All right. Records played backwards?
Yeah.
Not worried about it.
Okay. People were worried about that for a really long time, though.
They really were.
So
they really were.
It was a whole thing.
It was a whole thing. It was a whole thing of like, well, if I played this rock and roll music backward, like as if the rock and roll music that talked about drugs or sex to begin with wasn't problematic.
Wasn't demonic forwards?
Right. So I don't know. Like, what are we even talking about at that point?
Okay. What if you played it upside down?
Yeah. And I think it's like that.
What if you turn your record player to the side and played it vertically?
Right. Well, hold on. But I think that ties though into sometimes when things are changing generationally.
Okay.
And the new thing seems to be what it becomes the demonic thing.
Like AI.
Right. Like if it's new, must be the devil.
Demons.
Right. As if people can't come up with new things unless it's inspired by the devil.
Right.
That's just foolish.
Okay.
All right. People with addiction or mental health issues, there are some individuals who are sick because there is a demonic reality there.
Okay.
But no, I'm not saying everybody. So I'm going to be clear on that. Not everyone who is physically sick or not everyone that has mental health issues has a demon.
Okay.
So, I got family members right now that have cancer. I'm not saying that they've got a demon in them. Okay.
Okay.
But do I also think that there are times where people have physical ailments because of the demonic? Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
All right. And then you get into like the list of like Pokemon and Harry Potter and Power Rangers and Star Wars and all that stuff. And again, I go back to the same thing. Like, is it glorifying evil or is it not glorifying evil? And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that demons are in like the fantasy books or the cards. Things? Yeah, but what I'm saying is I don't want to read something that's going to glorify evil.
Okay.
Okay, so I would chunk that. Houses. And I think that I'll be honest with you, I think that one of the best things you can do, you move into a home, pray through that house.
Okay.
I would. I'd pray through the house, and here's why. You don't know what was there before you.
Okay.
Yeah. You don't know what was worshipped there before you. Right? So I got no problem with that. Then you get into other things like, video games. And to me, video games falls in that same category. Is it glorifying evil or is it not?
So is the specific video game glorifying evil?
Yeah.
Okay.
But then I'm not even telling you that it's demonic. I'm just saying it's sinful. Don't watch it. Like, I think one of the things that we have to also understand is there's sins that are happening, right? We have the lust of the flesh, lust of the eyes, pride of life, as it says in 1 John. So these lust of the eyes, lust of the flesh, the pride of life. And John talks about it being, this is the stuff that's in this world. And so I think that's part of the problem too. It's like, we've gotten everything so spiritual that if it's evil or if it's wrong, it must be demonic. There must be a demon there.
Okay.
And all I'm saying is it could just be evil, or sinful. It does not mean that there's a demon there.
Okay.
Sometimes it's just sin. And not every sin is like running around with a demon. So
Okay.
yeah. And I don't want to get through all. I don't want to go through all of these.
Yeah, don't.
I mean, it just. Oh my dear God.
Or do.
And and I but talking about the generational thing, because like some of these I'm looking at it and I'm like, so for example, like rap music.
Mm-hmm. Demons. It's new. It sounds weird.
All right, got to be demons. But
my kid likes it, and he's not
right,
listening to Christian
right,
music, so it must be demons.
Right. But what's hilarious is, so for example, like, it was once thought that drums were demonic.
Yes, all of them.
Drums in church.
Yep.
Right.
Anything
with a rhythm.
Any music that isn't an organ or a harp.
Right.
That's on the list.
But we know that's not true. Like Scripture itself talks about playing cymbals and playing drums.
Well, they didn't read that part.
They didn't read the Psalms, apparently.
Nope.
And
those people were engaging with demons and didn't know it.
And so the reality is like when you're looking at this stuff, this is why I think some of this stuff is just crazy to me. But then others of it, I get it. But again, that's why I think that's anything that's new. We have to just be careful, like, of just going, well, that's anime. It looks weird, or cartoon that looks weird.
Mm-hmm.
Lilo and Stitch. Stitch has got to be a demon. That's a weird looking guy.
Remember that one, yeah.
Right? And I think he's annoying too, but I mean, I'm not calling him a demon. And so I just think that there's
the Teletubbies.
Teletubbies were demons all day long.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just think that we have to be careful not to call everything demonic that's new, or everything that we don't understand as just that must be demonic. Social media. Well, it must be almost all of it must be demonic.
Mm-hmm.
Now I get it. There's a lot of
AI is literally a demon talking to you.
Right.
That's what it is.
But it's not.
Demons in the machine.
Demons are everywhere.
Okay, so
yeah.
Just to wrap it up.
Right.
Stay away from evil.
Stay away from evil, man.
Okay.
Let's keep this a little more simple than it probably, that we've made it.
Okay, so there's not demons in everything.
Right.
But there's just evil stuff.
Yeah.
To stay away from.
Yeah, and I do think if we keep engaging in that same evil stuff over and over and over again, yeah, we may be opening ourselves to demons.
Okay.
Yeah. And so if I keep watching porn over and over and over and over again, not only have I formed an addiction, but I've probably opened up that door of a spirit of lust.
Okay.
Okay. And so I think that
which is an evil spirit.
Demon. Yeah, demon.
All right.
Yeah. When I say unclean spirit, evil spirit, demon, all synonymous.
All right. Well, This has been the When I Heard This podcast. You can follow the podcast on Facebook and Instagram at When I Heard This podcast, and X and locals at When I Heard This. Like, emphasis on the subscribe, comment, share, follow, download. You can follow me on Facebook and Instagram at Nate Robinsoff, and you can follow Joseph on Instagram at
Rev Joe T.
This has been the When I Heard This podcast, and we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.